For decades, Israel has operated under a unique diplomatic umbrella. No matter the administration in Washington or the shifting winds of global opinion, the nation enjoyed a near impenetrable shield of unconditional international support. But that shield is no longer holding. This wasn't just about military strength, it was about narrative control, threat. This chart shows how quickly that narrative has eroded. Recent polling in the United States, Israel's most vital ally, shows that public favorability has plummeted, with 60% of Americans now viewing the country unfavorably. The shift isn't limited to traditional critics. Even within the Republican Party, influential conservative voices who previously formed a core part of Donald Trump's support base are beginning to publicly question the current leadership. On the legislative front, the pressure is mounting. Lawmakers are moving beyond verbal critiques to draft actual legislation aimed at using U.S. leverage to block the flow of military aid to Israel. If Israel's actions are purely defensive, what exactly changed on the ground to turn its most unshakable allies into vocal critics? This loss of support isn't a fluke of public relations. It is the result of mounting evidence that the methods of war have shifted from defensive tactics into a documented, systemic policy of brutality. Inside the Israeli parliament, new legislation has been proposed that allows military courts to execute Palestinians convicted of terrorism, a label that can be applied to acts as simple as stone throwing or participating in civil protests. It's the institutional nature of this violence that has alarmed the world. UN Human Rights Council experts have reported that practices like torture and the weaponization of starvation have transitioned from battlefield anomalies into state doctrine. The human and physical cost is impossible to ignore. The systematic leveling of civilian infrastructure, hospitals, schools, and residential neighborhoods has created a humanitarian crisis that no diplomatic cover can hide. For the first time, the official government narrative is being directly contradicted by the soldiers themselves. While the state presents a picture of precision and restraint, social media tells a different story. Across various platforms, IDF soldiers have posted videos of themselves detonating residential buildings, mocking displaced families, and burning essential infrastructure. Raw footage that has become impossible for international media to suppress. These self-documented clips have effectively dismantled the defensive narrative. They broadcast a normalization of extreme violence that has stripped away the credibility of the most moral army in the world. The final blow for many international observers has been the expansion of military goals far beyond the borders of the initial conflict. In the West Bank, state-backed settler violence and illegal land confiscation have surged, systematically pushing Palestinian civilians out to make way for new settlements. At the same time, the military focus has pivoted north into Lebanon. While the official objective is to neutralize Hezbollah, the reality on the ground suggests a much broader ambition. High-ranking Israeli officials have begun openly calling for the flattening of Lebanese border villages, not just for security, but with the stated intent to annex territory and create permanent buffer zones. This expansion has come with a massive human cost. Over 1 million Lebanese civilians have been uprooted, forced to live in makeshift camps that mirror the displacement seen in Gaza. When you connect the dots between Gaza, the West Bank, and southern Lebanon, the picture changes. This map suggests the conflict isn't just a defensive response. It is a calculated push for territorial expansion, aligning with the long-held strategic concept of a greater Israel. The era of Israeli exceptionalism is over. What the world once saw as a fight for survival is now increasingly viewed as a campaign of institutionalized extremism, leading to a level of diplomatic isolation that was once unthinkable. This shift isn't just coming from foreign governments. Thousands of Israeli citizens and Jewish people worldwide are among the loudest voices protesting Benjamin Netanyahu's actions, making it clear that the state's current path does not represent its entire population. International law is finally catching up. The International Court of Justice has issued a definitive ruling declaring that Israel's occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem is illegal. In an even more unprecedented move, the International Criminal Court has moved to issue arrest warrants for the country's top leadership, marking a historic break in the diplomatic shield they once enjoyed. Major European powers, including France, Spain, and the UK, have begun officially condemning these military operations, aligning themselves with a global consensus that is no longer willing to look the other way. UN experts are warning that words are no longer enough. They argue that without hard sanctions, the current pattern of territorial aggression will continue to destabilize the entire region. The crumbling of Israel's defensive narrative shows that even the most sophisticated influence campaigns have a limit. For emerging powers like India, the situation is a stark reminder of the long-term strategic risks of allowing foreign geopolitical interests to dictate a country's own sovereign narrative.